Press Start Podcast.
And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin'. This is episode number 128. And I do welcome back my co host, Scott, aka Scobie1.
Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another fun episode.
Hell yeah, dude. We were off last week because of Easter, so happy Easter to everyone out there and hope everyone had a great time there. But yeah, man, welcome back here. And as everyone can see, there is no Roger, aka Lunatic Oblivion. He did have an exciting event this today. He got to give his son his Hebrew name, which is like a whole celebration and whatnot. So he does have the in-laws in town and stuff like that. So he's entertaining that. But we were at the event today. It was actually something interesting, very simple, but pretty awesome to see. Never been to something like that. So pretty cool. But
Nice, good for that.
Scott, what's new with you, man? Anything new over the last 2 weeks?
Man, not really. Just kind of. I mean, still married, so still got that going for me, which is
Easy.
nice.
Another week
Which
down,
is
baby.
yeah, another week down. There we go. Loving it. So I'm playing my cards right. We're doing a
She's
okay.
not ready to kill you yet.
I mean, I'm sure she is at some point, but she's a saint, and she comes to terms with the fact that she probably wouldn't look good in orange in a jumpsuit, things like that. I mean, I think she would look spectacular, but I wouldn't be around to see it. No, it's just been life as normal, normal adjacent maybe
Yeah.
is a better term for it. Getting things ready for baby and just kind of going through our motions here now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but it's been fun. What about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, same shit, different day. Working, trying to game when I can. Definitely don't have as much time as I once did because having the baby changes that like big time. And but yeah, she's like growing, dude. Like it's crazy. She's getting two more teeth. She already has the two bottoms. She's getting two tops. She's talking a lot. Wants to like run around the house, but doesn't know how to run around the house yet. So that's the funny part.
Wait till she figures it out.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's gonna be
that's
fun.
it's gonna be game over, dude. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Everything behind you on the bottom shelf is gonna find a new home
Yep,
way
yep,
up high.
yeah. But yeah, man. Outside of that, yeah, just dealing with work. I guess I got a pay raise. And I made a Facebook post about it. Actually, I don't want to get too dive into it because it could be very political and whatnot. But I know me and you have very similar views. But I got a 2% pay raise, and I looked into it. I was like, inflation's at like 3% right now, but it was a 6% over the last year, and like my pay raise was over the performance of last year, I guess, or if I got one, or whatever. And I was like, so I technically took a pay cut in the grand scheme of things. Now I make more money, but the way things cost now, I still can't, like, I have to pay more to get those things.
So officially, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Because that's just it across the board, right? Everybody's getting their raises. Their raises are 1%, 5%, everything in between. But because of the inflation, it doesn't really feel like it's gonna counter anything.
It doesn't. I'm
And
still
it doesn't.
losing out in the long term, like in the
and
grand scheme
and
of
that
things.
it feels that way because it doesn't, right? It feels like it doesn't counter anything because it doesn't really counter anything.
Right. And that's
Hope
honestly been an issue for a very long time, is that as things cost more and everything becomes more expensive, wages don't match that at all. So like you think you're making more money, but in reality you're making less money compared to how everything costs.
Yes, but thankfully we're in an election cycle this year, so things might actually start to come back down around maybe August,
We'll
September.
see.
We'll see.
Only time will tell, man.
Only time will tell. Yes.
But we are here to talk about video games, so let's circle back to that, right? We had 2 weeks since our last episode. Have you played anything big? Did you find any time to get some gaming in? I know you had your drill for your military stuff, so
Biggest thing that I've been doing is Rebirth, baby. It's back. It's back with a vengeance, and it's hot. I love it. It's been just a blast. A lot of people that I know who don't really play COD anymore have come back. They're like, Rebirth's back? Well, let me hop in, level up some guns so we can hot drop prison. I think I haven't dropped prison maybe one or two times since this started. But it's been a blast, and it's running really smooth, eerily smooth, almost.
yeah.
And we were talking before show. I was like, yeah, I've hopped in and like I've become the sweat. people are people are complaining on Facebook and online, like just there's sweats, there's this, there's that. Uh, but I've been consistently dropping double digit kills in solos, a couple duos here and there, and I'm like, maybe I'm the sweat.
maybe I am.
But at the same time, it's so much smoother than any other map they've had out
Hmm.
over the past, how long has it been gone? Year-ish, maybe even longer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I really attribute it to that because every move I'm trying to make is smooth. Every door I'm opening, every hop I'm making, everything like that has just been so outstandingly smooth. As opposed to being on like Vondel or even Fortune's Keep. Uh, so I kind of attribute that to how smooth Rebirth has been.
Yeah.
Um, maybe that's what the 27 gigabyte update for a map we've already had was for.
Yeah, it's
Who
funny that you
knows?
point that out. Right, I
Who knows?
full disclosure, I have not played Rebirth since it's been back yet. I played some little bit of multiplayer just to hop in to do a couple of daily challenges, but I was scrolling through TikTok, right, and everybody knows the legendary Doctor Disrespect, and he was like, he was right kind of recording his gameplay, and he was right before he was about to play, he had obviously the update, and he was like, how the fuck is this update 27 gigabytes for something that's already in the fucking game?
Oh, I know. And so I mean, there's obviously answers to this, right? I mean, initially we're like, why am I downloading 27 gigabytes for a map that I've already had? But you know, it came with season 3, so it came with all the season 3 updates. It came with all
Right,
the
which we're
season
going to
3
dive deep
changes,
into that a little bit later
which we'll
on.
get into here shortly, which you know might explain a little bit more as to why it was closer to that 30 gigabyte mark. But I think a lot of people were just more focused on Rebirth coming back and thinking that that was the only thing that was going to be happening for season 3, which obviously isn't the case.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. So obviously, both of us been playing a little bit of Call of Duty here and there, but I got to play my single player games, right? Or in this case, co-op, in a way. So we started Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, the remake, which just came out a few weeks back, and this is a game that me and Lauren are actually playing, and we're actually playing this together. This is really like an introduction for her to video games because like she doesn't play video games, so it's been interesting where she controls one of the brothers, I control the other brother, and we kind of have to work together. And it's kind of like it puts in the perspective the ability to play video games in a different hindsight than I'm normally used to. Obviously, like you have the sweats in Call of Duty, but then you have like the average Call of Duty player, and you can see that difference. But then you see the difference between a gamer and somebody who just never plays video games, and then you expect that person to play a video game like they've been playing video games their whole life, and that's really been like something I've noticed trying to play with Lauren is like, why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? And I'm like, you don't play video
That's
games.
a that's a really weird way to tell me that you've been sleeping on the couch for a while.
No, I have not been sleeping on the couch. We have not really been arguing, but it's like, damn, like you really don't realize like the the like the skill that comes with playing video games. That it almost feels natural, but it feels natural because we've been playing video games since we were like
Yeah,
four,
it
three.
becomes part of us. It's just another thing that we do
Mm.
over time
And we
versus
don't think
somebody who
nothing of it.
doesn't touch
And
anything.
the whole thing that gets her is like controller, right? The whole idea of I have to move this and this, and I'm like trying to put those two together. Yeah, I guess that would be a little bit of like
Well,
a thought
now
process.
I'm even upset for you now, I guess. I mean, what's not to know automatically? It should
Right.
be
Come
there.
on, like you should pick it up and play, right?
Yeah, what's going on? It's not square anymore. It's more ergonomic. I don't understand why you can't make that jump.
Right. No,
Uh,
but overall, the game has actually been it's an interesting, like I was like really looking forward to this game because I know like the original game has been like sought after, like it's a really great game, like it was one of just Ferris's first game who made It Takes Two before he sold off that original studio, and it's having a lot of issues, whether like we really got to a game breaking bug, like I had to boost her up over a ledge, then to run around to grab this chain to pull the chain down to activate this like fan blade so I can grab the fan blade to come up to her. And every time she would run and jump to try and grab the chain, he would like kind of like glitch through the chain and like drop down. I'm like, yo, you gotta grab the chain. Like I'm getting frustrated with it. I'm thinking she's not grabbing the fucking chain. I was like, give me the controller, let me do this shit. I grab it, keep trying it over and over and over, and I'm like, this shit's broken. Like this shit's literally broken. Fucking had to reset the chapter, start from the very beginning of because this was towards the end of the chapter too, and I was like, fuck. So she was like, I don't want to play. So I put it back into single player mode, which puts you in control of both characters on one controller. And I did it, ran through, got to that point, completed that point, and then we actually ended the stream at that. And I was like, that's not good. Like this is a remake of a game that's been out and that did great. Like you're having groundbreaking problems here. And it's just like it's real clunky and just doesn't feel like a remake it at all.
I mean, even in our last episode, we were talking about remade games just busted.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Star Wars Battlefront Classic. They somehow released an
Fuck that
unfinished
up.
version of a game that's been out for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it far fetched? No. Is it unfortunate? Absolutely yes.
Yeah, and it's just slowly losing points. Like I think as of right now, if I were to grade it, I think it's probably like a 6. Like it's not doing well at all on my scale.
This is after you've adjusted your scale. A
Right.
6
This
used to be
this
really good.
yeah, 6 used to be like decent.
Your scale
Man.
started at 5 and it only went to 7. 6 used to be really good.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully we get through. I think we have like about an hour listed of games, so we'll get through it and I'll get that playthrough up onto my YouTube channel. But other game that I finally dove into was a game that recently launched onto Game Pass again was Evil West, and it's actually a pretty enjoyable game, except for the fact that there's a lot of fucking mechanics in the game. Like I don't know if you've ever played this. This is more of a linear experience, and you're
Haven't.
kind of like you're in the wild wild west, but like you're a vampire hunter in a way. So it's a pretty cool twist. But like you have several different guns. Like you have your revolver, you have your rifle, and you have like your shotgun. But typically, like you would switch weapons and then you would use that weapon. But like if I want to use the revolver, I just pull the trigger and he just shoots it like from the hip. You know, like the classic Wild
Yeah.
Wild West kind of thing. Okay, cool. That was the first introduction to a weapon. Then I got the rifle. I was like, okay, cool. How do I use that? When I got to aim down the trigger, then I pull out the rifle and then I'll shoot that instead of using the. Then I was like, okay. But then it's like if you want to use the shotgun, you just press X. I'm like, so I have these, I have
You
access to these weapons
just
at all
sitting here
times, no
just
matter what. And I'm like, then I'd be starting to like get them confused. And then like you have a melee button, which is like one of the fucking bumpers at the top, and then like you can kick the enemy, and like they have like one of those like unstoppable or unblockable attacks. But if you kick them, it like interrupts their attacks. So I'm like trying to remember: do I punch them? Do I kick them? Do I do? And then you have like a roll button. I'm like, bro, there's just so many mechanics to try and play a game. Like, why? Just make this shit a little bit more simple, and you'd be alright. But I was like, man, am I getting old? Like,
I don't think that's an age thing. I think it's just an over engineered controls for the game.
yeah. Like, I feel like if you just gave me the option to switch through weapons and then I can aim down sight or do whatever I want with the guns, that simplifies the guns. And then, like, I don't know, simplify the block, the kick, the roll, the like I don't know, like there should have been
Yeah, I
an
don't
easier way
know.
of doing it. But
I think we're about to get hit with an OK boomer. Just coming from the chat. I have no idea.
yeah. And then like but to circle back though is like what I'm enjoying about the game is like it looks aesthetically great. The gameplay feels great once you master mechanics and you can actually memorize what buttons you're hitting. And then like it's a linear fucking game. Like it's not an open world, go fucking explore 37,000 areas before you move on to the next mission. Like no, straightforward. And I'm like, I like this. Like I miss playing linear experiences. Like old school games back in the day were mostly linear. And when they started to do the whole open world, open concept of a game, I think that's where games took like a really downhill approach because like not every game needs to have an open world. And this game feels phenomenal that it's not an open world game. I couldn't
Agreed.
imagine if it was.
Yeah, agreed. The linear feel for a lot of games, like it's become almost more like nostalgic because it's like, oh man, this is just a linear game. This is how it used to be. This is great because everything wants to be open world. But there's a time and place for everything.
Mhm.
Especially given storylines and what the development team can do. Not to say that a development team didn't do open world because they couldn't do open world. But yeah, there's a time and place for everything. And when it comes to like open world versus linear format, I mean, sometimes you just want one or the other, or you want like an idea of like, for like you said, for Evil West, like your linear, just kind of story driven, like you are on this level to go do this thing, nothing else.
Right.
If you do other things, maybe you'll get an achievement, maybe you'll experience a little bit more. But sometimes linear is really really nice when it comes down to like just the gameplay, the straightforwardness of it, and giving you that objective to just get through.
Right. And as you can see here with chat with Bro Side, yeah, it's important that a game values the player's time as well. And like that can't like be exemplified enough. I just told you at the top of the show, right? I am trying to find time to play video games, given that all the life shit and dealing with a kid and whatnot. My time is really really valuable, and I haven't even dove into the game that I just started for Shoot to Win's Game Club. But like this is like I think it's like a 10 to a 15 hour game. Perfect length, and it's a linear experience. So I'm not spending 150 hours in a game. And the crazy thing is, it circles into a game that does the opposite, right? Dragon's Dogma 2, one of the biggest games of the year so far. This is a very massive game. And this is a game that also doesn't hold your hand. You don't really know where you're going at any time, really. There's no like quest markers or map icons and stuff like that. Like you kind of figure out where to go in a way through the game, apparently. Like I can't say it on my experience, but that's also a game that's going to take 60,
Shout out to
70,
all my
80 hours.
Morrowind players
Right. And it's
that
just
don't need
like
those quest markers.
but it's like Dragon's Dogma 2 seems really great. Like I really want to dive into that game, but I don't have 100 hours to play that game. Especially given the fact that I have a goal this year. I still have a goal that I'm trying to beat. 52 games this year, one game a week. I will never ever ever accomplish that goal if I'm playing games like Dragon's Dogma 2 every fucking like game after game. Like I
Hundred
would
percent.
burn myself out massively.
100%. And I think the big mark here that I saw with Poseidon that really like stuck out with me was like the give me the whole game when you give it to me, not the cut content DLC.
Yep.
Like don't
Bingo.
don't 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 give me a Big Mac, take off the lettuce, the top
Just get the
burger, and the
burger.
cheese, and then later be like, here, 15.99 for your top burger, 7.99 for your cheese. Like, don't give me that cut content DLC. Like, if you give me a 10 or 15 hour linear experience, and I agree with you 100%, give me a 10, 15 hour linear experience, and I'll be just as happy as I would be with something that I could roam and go do in an open world in extra spare time that, I dig out of my pocket somewhere.
Right. So
It's nice.
enough about Evil West. Great experience. Can't wait to honestly see where it ends up, where it's going. But you're playing a game that is actually part of Shoot to Win's Game Club Game of the Month, because we actually changed with the whole formula, where instead of like letting the community vote, we're actually going to start picking games for the community, but we're also picking a single player experience and a multiplayer experience. And Diablo 4 is the multiplayer experience that we got for the month of April. So I would love to hear about your experience playing Diablo 4 so far.
So it's still very early going back into what I had already done. I've already played the game. I've done 3 run throughs, and now I'm on a fourth, starting a rogue. But I mean, it's fun. I'm still waiting to get back into like a lot more of the changes they've made,
Mm-hmm.
than just kind of like that initial like those initial surface level changes. Um, but I'm waiting to see kind of how it affects me and like the way I would play it, my playthrough, with the changes that we actually talked about 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
with the crafting and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, as always, once again, it looks just as good, if not better, than it did last time I played it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still a fun Diablo game.
Yeah. Yeah. So over on Shoot to Win's Discord, like we have a channel where we talk about like our experiences and kind of going on, like how we're playing. Because obviously we get together at the end of the month to talk about it. But a lot of guys have been playing Diablo 4 and they're like, "Yo, this is a great game, a lot of fun. Play a few hours." Or like, "Yo, like this shit's crazy. Like it's a lot of fun." But yeah, all the changes, man. I'm actually curious to see like the impact of like the whole crafting and whatnot. To see like
I'm
if that
excited to
saves a little bit
see.
more time instead of grinding. Like I said that 2 weeks ago, I was like, who wants to play the same level 100 times to hopefully get that one item where I can just craft it and just cut out like
So
tons of time.
and for somebody like myself, who has previously had like Stockholm syndrome from doing the same world boss over and over again to get a rare drop in like WoW. The like redoing certain things that didn't mean anything to me. Like that wasn't that like upsetting. But it'll be interesting to see how this works in. It's gonna fuck up the economy in game, but I can't wait to see how that goes. But yeah, Poseidon's right. It's the new changes coming. It just needs a little more oomph. It seems like for all the talk of the changes that have happened so far, I haven't really noticed much that has like changed my perspective of D4.
Right.
Um, but waiting to see if it does, and excited for how I feel when it does.
Right.
Is really kind of how it is. Cautiously optimistic is really how I would phrase that one.
For sure. So let's talk about Shoot to Win single player experience for the Game Club of the Month, and that is Alan Wake 2. This is a game that I finally get to give a chance. It was arguably game of the year last year, and I'm only 45 minutes in the game, by the way, just to put this in perspective. So like, the game is scary as fuck in the beginning of the game. Like, either I'm just getting old and I'm becoming a big pussy, but like horror stuff is becoming harder as I get older for some reason. I used to be able to watch all the scary movies and just be fine, but yeah, you don't know,
That's
whatever.
because horror has gotten better.
I guess.
Horror has gotten more horrifying.
Yeah.
And Alan Wake being the psychological thriller that it was to begin with, only just they capitalized on that exponentially
Yeah.
with Alan Wake 2.
So typically when I get the chance to play a
Also,
game,
you a bitch.
yeah, probably.
So
So usually when I get a chance to play a game right now, when I'm playing my single player games, is at night. So I'm playing at like midnight to 2 a.m. And I decided to boot up Alan Wake 2 thinking,
and
the
prime
first
Alan
game,
Wake time.
yeah, Alan Wake wasn't that bad. Like it was manageable. It wasn't over the top like horrifying. Yeah, no. First level, I was completely like grossed the fuck out. I typically stream for like an hour and a half, hour and a half. I got to the 45-minute mark and I was like, I can't take no more. I really can't do this.
If I
no
go
more.
any further, I'm not going to sleep for the week. So
Yeah.
I have to,
So I
the
literally stopped.
responsible thing
And
is to stop here.
Lauren questioned me. She was like, "Why did you leave the light on last night?" Like out in the living room. I was like, I was playing this game and I was a bitch last night. Yeah.
What, that light? That's the just in case light. That's
Yeah, it
just
saves me.
just in case.
But
Just in case.
so far it's been a really fun experience, honestly, and like I'm like 45 minutes in, and that's not really to judge it much of, but playing from the perspective of Saga so far has been pretty cool, and like you can go into like this mind world, like you literally leave the real world and you go into her mind, and you can like plan out the entire investigation. You're like kind of piecing things again. You're like, but I'm missing this part, and you go back into the real world and you like explore and investigate a little bit more, and you go back and turn your piece and you're like, okay, cool, and then like you start to develop what happened, and then the story builds a little bit more, and you're like, oh shit. And like I haven't even gotten to play as Alan Wake yet. Like I haven't gotten to that portion of the game, and I'm
And
just
then
like,
spoiler alert, somebody pees your pants.
yeah.
Somebody. Still trying to figure out who, but somebody pees Vic's pants.
So I'm really curious to see how it goes, but I'm trying to figure out like, do I continue to try and play this at night, or can I just try and boot this up during the day? But like, what do I do for my daughter? Because I don't want her to watch any of this shit that's going on. Because she watches
Honestly,
me
I
play the
would
game. Like when
say,
I'm playing Call of Duty and Halo multiplayer, like she's just like just mesmerized by what the fuck is going on the screen.
oh well, yeah, give her the violent stuff, yeah, for sure. Don't give her Alan Wake. I think the Alan Wake is definitely like an exclusively. I think, and we can put this in the chat if you want to vote. I think Vic now only exclusively plays Alan Wake between the hours of 2 and 3 a.m. Or 12 and 3 a.m.
Oh jeez.
Just so it's that much worse.
And then I'm trying to play with a headset on too, with all the
So
lights
everything's
off.
loud.
So like
Everything's loud. All the
just,
lights are off.
yeah, it's just I'm playing in the most brutal experience that you can play in a horror game.
Something
But maybe,
bumps your chair.
but hey, like I guess it really adds to experience. Like the game drives that emotion that much
That
more. It's a
is
little bit more
that
immersive.
is total immersion, baby girl. 100%.
So let's see if I can make it through without dying in real life. Just like have a heart attack of just pure horror. But we'll see how that goes. What else we got here on the list that we want to cover? Oh, you dove back into Skyrim, I see. You did what?
So I did 2 weeks ago, and I'm just kind of doing my pilgrimage. really. Like there's a lot of things that I do in my life that just like it's a basically like a yearly or
Circle of
like
life.
every other year just pilgrimage into a game. So this is like my 18th playthrough of Skyrim on Legendary, and but this time now I'm like really just going in and like how many mods can I put in here
You got Thomas yet?
until my computer crashes when I just double click the Skyrim icon.
No, jeez.
Is what I'm really going for here now. Um, and you know, as always, it's fun. It's a comfort game at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I used to play Skyrim as a kid when I, you know, felt sad or upset or anxious. And then now here I am as a 35-year-old going, oh man, I'm just
Still
playing
doing the same.
Skyrim in case I feel sad or
I feel
upset
like
or
that's
anxious.
Minecraft to me. Like
Like
I'll hop into Minecraft like over like once or twice a year, and it's typically just that quick hit of Minecraft. You're like, oh, I played this since it came out, since I was a kid. It made me feel so comfortable. Yeah, yeah.
I remember driving to go pick this game up, going home and playing it, and I played for like 8 hours immediately. So like
13 years ago, huh?
I played from like it was like 1:30 in the morning until like 9 or 10. And I
At
remember
night.
this is about 13 years ago, so I was what 22, something like that. So I had the energy back
Yeah.
then. Yeah. Poseidon, thank you very much for the subscribe. Appreciate that, sir.
Oh,
But
you good?
yeah, it's just one of those things. It's nothing new. I'm just having my fun.
Yeah,
So
man.
yeah, it's basically like yeah, like you're doing with a like you're doing with your semi-annual Fallout New Vegas. Like
I'm
that's
trying to
really
hold
kind of
out
what it is.
so
Like
bad to play that game. I've never played Fallout New Vegas, and I know it's
oh,
arguably the best one of them. But I'm like keep seeing the rumors of them remaking it, and I'm like, do I
don't do it.
play it or do I
I
play
look at
rem?
your.
Do I wait?
We just talked 10 minutes ago about your upsetting experience with the remake.
Yeah,
So don't wait.
but like I tried to
Act
hop back
now.
into Fallout 3, and I was like, this game is bad. Like it looks bad. It doesn't
I
hold
take
up to
offense to that.
times. I was like, Fallout
I
3
take
does
offense to
not look
that.
good. It does not play. Maybe it's because I went like when I first tried to go back to Fallout 3 was right after playing Fallout 4. I was like, it was the first time I played a Fallout game was Fallout 4, and I was like, oh, Fallout 4 was a great time. Let me go check out the rest of the games. Fallout 3, ooh, this is bad.
Yeah, no, yeah, so you went backwards. So
Mm-hmm.
you had your baseline and then you went back and you're like, well, this doesn't meet any of those marks. But
I
if
did
you
that
had
with
started
Assassin's
back,
Creed by accident too. I was like, oh, Syndicate was
yeah,
like my first true experience in Assassin's Creed, or yeah. And no, outside of Black Flag, I played Black Flag and I was like, no, fuck this game, fuck the naval combat. But I was like, Syndicate, phenomenal game. Let me go back and play Unity. Terrible fucking
yeah,
game.
nope,
And I was like, what
absolutely
the
not.
fuck did I do? And
Absolutely not.
then I was like, well, let me play the original. Let me play Assassin's Creed 1. Man, this is bad.
That's like putting on pants and being like, these are pretty good. These are nice. Let me try on some breeches. Like yeah, absolutely not. Not at all.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Let's go ahead and move on though from what we've been playing. Like, obviously, we've been trying to play some games when we can. So, but we actually got some interesting industry news to cover this week. So let's go ahead and check that out. All right, buddy. So let me kick it off here with the maybe the good stuff of the week. Embracer Group finally has officially sold Gearbox to Take Two though for $450 million. In this buyout, they also Take Two did confirm that Borderlands 4 is in development, active development. So that is awesome to see. Actually, I've not finished Borderlands 3. I wanted to play that in a cooperative experience because Borderlands, man, is a game that you play with friends. You don't play that shit solo. And I remember playing the first two games and then I guess the pre-sequel with friends. So I was like, I'm gonna put Borderlands 3 on hold. Let me find some friends to play it. Haven't did it, but awesome to see Borderlands 4. But the funny part here is that if I'm not mistaken, I think Embracer Group bought Gearbox for a lot more money than $450 million. Um, let me try to see if I can bring that up here. But I was just like, man, they really lost a lot of fucking dollars, didn't they? They spent $1.3 billion back in
I was gonna say,
2021.
yeah.
So in 3 years, they eventually sell it for only 450, not even half of what they fucking paid for that shit. And I'm just like, Damn, they are really just trying to liquidate all of their
Just
assets
trying to
right
get
now.
rid of it. Yeah, they're just trying to cut it off. Unfortunately.
Yeah, shout out to fucking Take Two for getting that for a fucking penny, like a
Yeah,
steal, a little drop in the bucket.
pennies on the dollar. So yeah, it's upsetting to see them have to take that loss.
Yeah,
But
they needed to. They were just buying up
it,
everybody and anybody, and they were
yeah.
just like, Xbox. As soon as you buy a developer, it's a problem. But Embracer Group, you can buy out everybody, and it'd be okay.
But speaking of some unfortunate events, CS2 Major had an unfortunate event when it was crashed by processors, who actually crashed the ceremony and knocked over a trophy, broke it into pieces.
That's a way to
Uh,
do it.
yeah, so there was protesters that were actually they were going through basically saying it was for the CS:GO loot boxes is really kind of an overarching theme here when we talk about the protesters. And if you look at any of the footage, like they just come up, they run, one of them falls, knocks over the trophy, the whole crowd's booing. But this was done by CS:GO Empire, who they've alleged that CS:GO Roll, one of G2's sponsors, was basically a scam casino,
Yeah.
and that it steals people's money. But that's what casinos do. And last I checked, casinos, I mean, if you're giving money up there, that's what we like to call consent. But they've also alleged that CS:GO Roll has been used to launder money in the past, and it's just been a a big back and forth between these guys, which ultimately culminated with the bum rush of the stage, the knocking over the trophy, um, just
Yeah.
awful events.
So just real quick,
Yeah.
the chat. Shout out to Monksy for coming through tonight, bro. We are
Hey,
currently in our
Muncie.
industry news section. We're talking about the CS:GO 2 major being crashed by protesters. So welcome in, bro.
Yeah, but so they've actually like gone on saying that workers would have been fired if they didn't rush the stage. This is from the CS:GO Empire's owner saying that they would be fired if they didn't rush the stage, and there was a quote saying, "I'm going to be disappointed if nothing happens. If shit doesn't hit the fan, a bunch of people will be fired, and tomorrow we're going to go full thrust." So like it's kind of weird that like you have somebody who has these sometimes outrageous claims, saying if you basically don't do this to back up these claims that I'm making, you're gonna get fired.
Sounds like blackmail more than
Mm,
anything, though.
so it's a little weird. I wouldn't necessarily say blackmail, but there's
It's
definitely some
borderline there.
coercion.
Yeah.
Definitely some coercion going on there. But that's really only the unfortunate news coming out of CS2 Major, because everything else has been pretty successful so far.
Yeah, I mean that's always a big time event. So maybe why not like protest on one of the biggest stages? I mean, we've always seen the issue with the whole gambling and the loot boxes. I mean, with the Star Wars, like the pay to win, but like usually with CS:GO, like it's not gameplay or mechanic implemented like Star Wars was. Like this is all cosmetic. But like I guess the issue is like some of it is like some of the things you can get from the loot boxes are worth thousands, if not millions of dollars, and that's where like when things become high priced, like that's the issue because they have that aftermarket thing that you the skins or whatever you get from these loot boxes that you can turn around and sell them if you don't use them. So like no other game does that. Like Call of Duty, think about it. Like no matter what it was, you got the skins, they were yours. You could not give them to anybody else no matter what.
But is it the developer and game maker's fault, or is it the fault of the community who has put such a high price on these?
Right. No, I mean, yeah, it could be 50-50, but then you get into the issues of like how do you prevent kids from doing this because no one under the 18 age of 18 can do that legally. So it's like there's a lot of other implications that could come from this. So it's like a lot of issues. So they got to figure out how to control this and like just have a more of like a guideline or just like a rules or laws that are implemented that kind of govern it. Like there's certain things that need laws, some things that don't. But this is clearly getting out of hand and got to be stopped. Moving on, though, this one's a pretty interesting report that came out because like we're in a big time where like there's constantly a flow of new games. Like we see thousands of new games every year, but a report comes out that in 2023 consumers were playing older games, and this one was really interesting. The fact that because it's like we see the cost of video game development increasing at such a rapid rate that people are less likely to play newer games, according to this report, than it is older games. And I was
Well,
just
it's
like,
because it's $70 for half of a game.
right. And now we're going to start seeing the issues too because people are this is like a silent protest in a way if you're thinking about it. Like people are voting with their wallets. They rather go back and play these really older games that maybe have been sitting in their backlog for forever. Like look at me. Like Mass Effect was sitting in my backlog for a long time. Finally picked up when that shit was on Game Pass. Didn't even buy the game. Played it on Game Pass and played through the trilogy. Like I did not spend $70, $80, $90, whatever it is. You're not getting me on those dollar amounts. Look, even Alan Wake 2, I literally could have started playing it on April 1st, right when Game Club went live. I said no. Xbox is having a spring sale coming up here on Thursday. It ended up being 20% off. I just saved myself a couple of dollars. I did not want to buy that game at full price, even though Alan Wake 2 was marketed at $50 because it they got rid of the physical edition. There was no physical edition, which that's a whole nother controversy issue. By making it a digital only game, they bring the cost of the game down to $50 instead of 70. Okay, cool, sounds good. But then I got an extra 20% off. So like I try to avoid buying games at all costs at full price anymore. There's probably like
Right.
one game every year that I will buy at full price, unfortunately, and that's Call of Duty. No matter how fucking bad it is, I buy it at full price. It's a game that I just live and die by, good
Well,
and the
it's like we
bad.
were talking about earlier, Stockholm syndrome. It
Yeah,
just it's a bitch.
it's not going anywhere. Like I literally just cracked open. Right, I still had a 12 pack of Mountain Dew that I bought when Call of Duty first came out. Right, it was about to expire on April 22nd, so I was like, I finally got to open it
Ooh,
up.
get that fine
And
wine.
like, and
Yes,
I take that
sir.
sip, and I'm like, I have instant fucking flashbacks of like my childhood. I used to buy that shit when it was double XP for Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3,
Not
back in
the
the OGs.
not the special edition Halo 3 Gamer Fuel Mountain
Yeah, man.
Dew.
Like, bro,
Yes,
like that's
sir.
so many fucking memories. But yeah, so hopefully like this could have a really big impact on like spending and like how game developers really approach this. And
Oh, yeah.
only time will tell. We'll see how what the impact it has on that for sure. But there's an update though in regards to Deck Nine. What's going on with them guys?
Yes, and that is Deck 9 NINE, like the number, not Deck 9 as in NEIN, German for no. So I just wanted to preface that before we get into here because there were already some weird things going on when people were working on the next kind of step in Life is Strange, where a few developers at Deck Nine stumbled upon something that didn't really belong in their game, which is some Nazi symbols. So initially, developers noticed a reference to like the number 88. And they flagged that issue to their bosses, thinking it was a mistake. But since then, there had been other references that a lot of people had found. So this is references to a pretty racist meme, um, and the number 18 or 1-8 in this instance, and the Hagal rune. And it's kind of giving off some like dog whistle vibes to white supremacists, to really kind of just be a little weird. But they've seen these, and it's usually. I mean, it's not even usually. It's inappropriate, like just in general. So to find something that may or may not have been an intentional symbol of white supremacy or like racism, something that can be taken out of context. Yes, yes. But to find all of these things, that's where you cross the boundary into like from coincidental into just like fucked up. Uh, so as sorry, not to laugh during that,
Yeah.
uh, but Deck Nine has found these. More people have been finding these, and they're trying to see basically what's going on with who put these in, who's the developers that that had put these in? Was this like intentional? Really, what's kind of going on?
Mhm.
Um, but basically, Deck Nine leadership is kind of really dealing with a lot of like internal discontent from this.
Mhm.
And they're dealing with some of the backlash based off of like inaction, but like, is it really inaction if you didn't really know something was going on and now you're trying to take care of something? Um, but they really kind of like a lot of the developers have been struggling to work with what's been going on with it. So really just kind of trying to see what more comes out of there. And yeah, you put that link there, right there in the chat. It's not great. It's not great, and historically not awesome. So a lot of things that they're gonna have to work on over the Internet Deck 9 before they put anything else out.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty rough, especially people finding like racist memes and like the Nazi symbol. Like it's so crazy
Yeah,
how many things were probably just like slid in there to background. You don't even fucking notice it, and they're like, "Yo, bro, like, what is this doing in the game?"
yeah, and there was links to what each thing meant, but obviously I'm not gonna give that the time of day because it doesn't deserve the time of day.
Right.
So yeah, just an overall really awkward, really weird, really upsetting thing coming out of Deck 9 regarding that.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's end it with actually some more exciting news, and probably for a first for Apple here because they've been in the rough, dude. Like they've been being drugged through the mud left and right. They were forced into opening like side loading apps and different app stores in the EU, but they were like, we're gonna do something on our own here, kind of out of left field. They're like, we're gonna open an app store to retro game emulators, not just in the EU but globally, but they do have to adhere to any like laws obviously that are around emulation of games because like we know Nintendo deals with that shit all the time. But I was curious, excuse me, like how are they really going to handle this shit? Like I feel like this is opening it up for a lot of other issues because look at all of the emulation problems that Nintendo's dealing with. But like who's going to say like are they going to have to get approved by like Nintendo and Xbox and PlayStation? Like how is this really going to work? That's going
Well,
to
I
be the
think it
biggest
really comes
question.
down to what they plan to emulate and how they plan to emulate it. Like if you get with somebody, like say for example, and we're just using this just for contextual purposes, like say they're getting with Nintendo and they're like, hey, we would like to put an emulator on the iPhone. What can you do for us? We know you just owned that emulator store now, so we would love to take that and put it on the phone. But it really depends on how they're gonna approach getting the emulators and working with the companies who provide that game uh, or the emulator if they need to. And kind of where it's going to be a lot of footwork, a lot of dancing between some gray lines, and working in some gray areas here to see what it is. Like if they go to Nintendo and say we want an old NES emulator so we can put Super Mario on the iPhone, I'm pretty sure if they get a cut, Nintendo's going to say yes.
Right. Yeah, it's
Same
definitely going to
thing
come down
with
to money for
yeah,
sure.
same thing with old school, some like old school PlayStation games, old school Xbox games. Like I feel that if there's a deal to be made, a deal's gonna be made
Right.
with some of the older technology games that the iPhone could more than handle.
Right.
So it really just depends on how they're going to approach it.
Yeah, for sure. And not like looking at it from like even a game preservation as well. Like that's really huge. Obviously, Xbox. We're gonna dive into a little bit later what they're doing. But this could be huge. Like thinking about it, like now, like Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color, Game Boy games. Like how can you play those games now without buying one of those consoles and they're astronomical. Like we talk about it all the time. Like one of the games that I'm really sought after right now is getting either Heart Gold or Soul Silver, Pokemon, right? It's impossible. Like the game is like it's for the DS. It's $150, and we know why it's $150 because like they ended the production of the game at a certain time, which meant there's less quantities of the game in the market. So it's like to buy that game, that is the only way to buy it is if you want to spend $150. But if they find a way where like emulating the game on the iPhone, I would love to fucking play Pokemon Soul Silver or Heart Gold right there on my phone. It'd be the same fucking
100%.
screen as what it was back in the day. Makes sense. Why not?
And this goes back to if there's money to be made. Like if Nintendo, if they think maybe 100,000 people will spend $150, yeah, okay. But if you get 1.2 million people to spend $10,
Yeah,
that's gonna be for the game or the emulator. That's gonna be
because you also got to think
that's
about
cash
it. The
money.
$150 isn't going to Nintendo.
Yeah,
It's going to whoever owns that game. They're not getting even
exactly.
a chunk of that. So like they
Yep.
would make a ton of money off of this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, hand over fist.
So
But more, I mean, I'm excited to see how that works. I don't have an iPhone, but I'm excited to see how they'll be able to work that,
yeah,
especially given the Epic stuff and the stuff that they've been dealing with for a while to allow
mhm.
emulators and see who it goes through. That'll
Yeah,
be
I'm
fun.
really curious because like Apple's actually been like having a little bit more of a partnership with Nintendo because like you figured a lot of Nintendo's first like exclusive like first party games that came to the mobile device was with iPhone. Like when they first came out, like Mario Go, it was basically playing like Super Mario, like the classics, except like he was always on go and you couldn't stop him, and it was a pretty fun experience. And then they obviously brought like Mario Kart and like a bunch of other games as well, but like they always had a close partnership with them too. So eh, we'll see. Maybe this is the
Yeah,
exciting thing for Apple, especially
can't
like
wait.
Apple's like diving in full like full course into this, right? They just said like the iPhone 15 Pro can run basically console graphics. They have the new Resident Evil games on there. Like they are going all in with gaming. So instead of making their own game console, they can just use their devices that can run these streaming
Yeah,
or whatever it is emulation.
it's got
Find
the
different ways to
hardware.
grow.
Can't wait to see how they use it.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, man, that's all the industry news we got for you. So let's go ahead and move on to the gaming news because we do got a lot to dive into, especially when we get into the Call of Duty related news. All right, so Scott actually had to be right back. He'll be in just a few minutes, but diving into the Xbox related news as we always do here. Call of Duty Warzone Mobile has reportedly generated $1.6 million in revenue in the first 5 days, and this is in comparison to Call of Duty Mobile, which generated $4.2 million in revenue in its first 4 days back in 2019. It's a lot of dollars regardless, but this is a marginally different amount of money. So I'm curious to see why um, the massive drop off really happened. But well, only time will tell. Maybe it's due to the fact that like the lack of content. Like Call of Duty Mobile is such a huge game, where Warzone Mobile is literally just Warzone with a couple multiplayer maps to play right now. So once they get everything up and rocking and rolling, I think they're in a really good spot. As for though for Xbox Cloud Gaming, that comes via Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, being able to play the games on the cloud, they have officially added mouse and keyboard support for select games. So moving in the right direction, that you'll be able to play your games anywhere using whatever you want, controller, mouse or keyboard, or touch controls. Next up, this one actually has me really excited. I wish Scott was here. Maybe he'll come back in the middle of this conversation. But Phil Spencer, the other day during an interview, said that he would love to see the Epic Game Store and all those other game stores like Steam and stuff become available on the Xbox console. And like I had this conversation off stream with some other people, and I was like, this kind of makes sense because like Xbox is always about buy now, play anywhere kind of thing, and it's like I would love that, but most of the games are not available on the Microsoft Store. So like I can't buy the game on the Xbox and play it on my PC because it's not on the Microsoft Store. Then I have to rebuy the game on the Steam Store, or the Epic Game Store, and it just doesn't work that well. And I have to buy the game more than once than I should. It just doesn't make sense, especially when games have cross progression, cross save, and cross play, and all these beneficial features in the cloud saving and whatnot. Like just make it so like I want to be able to play my game wherever I want. And as Scott's coming back here online, I just want to get your ideas on like what if the Xbox does support the Epic Game Store or the Steam Marketplace come into its platform? Like how would that really benefit the Xbox gamer in a way that has a PC?
Uh, so I would say yes and no. It would really depend on how they do it, and that's why I rushed back over because I was like, man, it really depends on how they do it because like just because you buy a game, doesn't mean you're entitled to every version of that game. And so Steam has always been primarily PC. So if you buy something on Steam, and you buy a PC version, like, are you really entitled to the Xbox version of that? Or PlayStation version of that, or like the other console or the other way of playing's version of that.
Right.
If they could find a way where realistically they would kind of rhyme or be usable on the other platforms,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, but it's an exciting first talk.
Yeah. Because
Like
obviously
it's
we're
an
seeing the
exciting
evolution
idea.
of the gaming industry. Is that the idea that Xbox is proposing is that you should be able to play your games anywhere you want to, but only have to buy them one time or use a subscription service like Game Pass.
Agreed for anything that was made for the Xbox.
Right, in theory, but the idea is to move towards like a one by one play. Like you'll have options to buy it wherever you want, but then the platform that you play it on, you can play it wherever you want. Like it's more or less not about the platform and like the hardware. It's more about the platform and the service that you're buying from. Is what they're trying to get at.
Yes, um, yes, but also no.
Yeah.
I'll be a little bit more of a devil's advocate for this one because there's a lot more that goes into making something specifically for Xbox or
No, yeah,
making
for sure. I mean,
something
we see
so
it all the time.
like
The
or a specific version. So it really depends. It really depends on how they would equate what you pay for the one time and how they could get that to, like you have developers for PC, you have developers for Xbox, you have developers for the Steam Deck, you have developers for everything here in between.
Mhm.
Um, so realistically, when you get to the core of that, like PC version costs this much because it was made for the PC. Xbox version costs this much because it was made for the Xbox.
Yeah.
Rinse and repeat for every single console. So being able to buy one title and just having it playable on anything, while would be very nice for us here on the consumer side of the house, would realistically be a nightmare on the production side of the house. At least from my understanding here, that would be a nightmare on the production side of the house because if you have a studio that spent, and this is just random numbers here just for posterity's sake. So say you have $150 million you threw into your PC developers, and then you have 200 million that you threw into your Xbox developers. Well, now everybody that you you made the game on Xbox for, now they also get the PC version. So you're really not getting like that money's worth of what you put into it. There
Mhm.
is a return on investment that people would assume comes with putting money into developers for separate consoles. So having one console rule them all, or one payment rule them all, really,
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure of the viability in that.
Yeah. I mean, we
Well, I'm not 100% confident in that.
right. It's just like it's almost like the baseline of this is already implemented. But I was saying it before you hop back on the stream. I don't know if you heard, but I was like, Xbox has a thing where like you can buy it on PC or Xbox and then play it on either, but only if it's available on the Microsoft Store. And like the issue with that is like a lot of games are not available in the Microsoft Store. Alan Wake 2, for instance, was only available, I think, Epic Games or Steam. No, Steam Marketplace, but it's not available in the Microsoft Store. But I bought it on my Xbox, so therefore I would not be able to play it on my PC unless I bought it
Correct.
again. And it's like
Because the
the issue
Microsoft
there.
Store is for things that were made where it can work on both, and that's why they offer that.
Hmm.
Because there was more going into that to put it on the Microsoft Store, so it is playable on the Xbox and PC. Um, so yeah, like the Microsoft Store is there, and the ability to buy something for the Microsoft from the Microsoft Store and play it on both is there. But there's a specific reason for that, and that's because it was developed to be that way.
Yeah,
So to have other games like that where are made for Xbox and then buy it and then now it works on your PC,
yeah. I mean, obviously we see
not
the
really
issues
gonna work.
between the different versions too. Is like a lot of games on PC don't run well on Game Pass PC, but the Steam version runs just fine. So like we see that all the time. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to work out and flesh out. But like if they get to a point where they can just make like one version of the game, but like it works on every platform, somehow, like maybe with the introduction with AI helping them out and stuff like that. Like I'm sure they'll find a way to make this work, but
Yeah,
they're laying the foundation.
there's a lot of limiting factors right now. But like you just said, they're laying the foundation for the talk, and it's raising the question of why can't we? And eventually we'll come to an answer, whether it be here's why we can't or here's how we can.
Right. So we'll see. Last news here in regards to Xbox before we dive into like some of their games and services is that Sarah Bond is setting up a new team that is dedicated to backwards compatibility and forward compatibility. And this is awesome to see because Xbox has been known for the backwards compatibility. Like the fact that I can play original Xbox 360 and Xbox One games all on my Series X and S is absolutely phenomenal, and it just works. There's like no gimmicks, there's no hangups, there's no nothing. The cloud saving is just key to that. The fact that I can boot up a 360 game that I may have played when I first bought my 360 in '07, and my save file is still there because cloud saves were a thing since the 360 era. It's just it just works, dude. And it's just amazing that you don't need a subscription either to be able to do this. The game just works. The system just works. But they're also worried about forward compatibilities. The fact that the games that are being built now, they want it to be set up to the fact that when the next generation console comes out, that it's an easy transition that, hey, backwards compatibility now on that console, that game comes forward with me without any issues. And I think that's going to be really important to just game preservation and just being able to stick with it. But the highlight here is that with this backwards compatibility and this like new team of game preservation, that we need to talk about physical copies. Like I everyone is fighting for the physical copy to not go away, but it's also the biggest question because like it's one of the last medias where physical copies is as important to people than anybody else. Like you think about it, music for instance. Yeah, you could still buy CDs or even fucking records, vinyls, right? But that's such a niche market. Like most consumers these days consume music via radio or like Apple Music or Spotify. So completely digital. Movies is Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus. Like you no longer go out to the store and buy movies. Can you? Yeah, but a lot of retailers are starting to get rid of physical, like Best Buy. You can no longer buy physical movies at Best Buy. So like we're moving towards that every day. But video games is so precious to people because like I don't know why, but like video games, you rather have that physical thing as opposed to the digital thing. And maybe it's because we see the issues with the digital marketplace. Look what happened to the 3DS or the PlayStation 3. Like those stores have then since been shut down, and you no longer have access to those games or updates or whatever. Like you may have access to them, but like there's some limitations on how you can play them, where you can play them, and whatnot. So those are the issues that we're dealing with. Because like movie services, like you buy the movie, right? Because you can still buy digital copies of movies, but they're not going anywhere. It's not like, oh, there's a new Apple Movies 2 guy. Every movie you bought on Apple Movie 1 are no longer available. Like, no, that's just not a thing. That never will be a thing. I hope not, at least.
I don't know. I'm always an advocate for the physical copy, whether it be movies, whether it be video games. Yeah, exactly. What's good? What are you gonna do with your digital copy when the internet goes out? A whole bunch of fucking nothing.
Yeah, you can't play them. Good luck.
You can't play it, and once again, you like I've said it time and time again, like how much I hate the fact that we've ended up paying more for something we can't even physically hold.
Yeah.
Now, the reason movies really kind of just moved away from the physical form is because you're not paying $70 to view it.
Yeah, maybe 20, 30 at most.
You're paying 8.50 and a large bucket of popcorn and a large cherry Coke. Like you're not paying $70 to get something that you physically can't even hold anymore. And then
Yeah.
God forbid your internet cuts out and now you can't do shit. So like yeah, a physical copy of maybe a single player game is it's not so much to ask.
Right.
I mean, they just need to get over themselves and keep putting out physical copies.
Right. Which
Gotta get
and
past
which,
it.
which I was just talking about with Alan Wake 2. Like Alan Wake 2 is a completely single player experience, but there is no physical version of the game, and it's so they can cut the cost of the game. So instead of $70 for the game, now it's 50.
And if they're yeah, so that's like one of the few times where it's like, yeah, they cut the actual cost of the game and the consumer got to feel that that cut.
Yeah, and it sucks because I completely forgot that Alan Wake 2 went completely all digital, and I was like looking on GameStop. I was like, why the fuck do GameStop not have no copies of Alan Wake 2, whether it's new or even pre-owned? And then come to find out, yeah, digital only. And I was like, man, fuck me. Like I don't get them to save no money.
Yeah, nope, not at all.
And it's so crazy. I think like digital copies like rarely go to me. I feel like they rarely go on sale. And I was like, back in the day when you're buying physical copies of a game, like you could look forward to the pre-owned copies. And as the years got older, them games become dirt cheap. Like I go on GameStop now and I look at games that I don't own yet that are on my shelf, and I'm like, oh, that's just $5. Add that shit to the
Get
cart,
it? Yeah.
just to add it. Whether I'm going to play it or not, I have 1,000 fucking games behind me that I may or may not ever play. But we'll see. But I can sit here and talk about that shit all day long. But let's talk about the one of the hot topics of the week, and that is Call of Duty Season 3. It is here, guys. And this is actually probably one of the biggest updates that I probably have ever seen. With when it comes to the like content wise, like we're getting from multiplayer to I'm trying to bring up the fucking patch notes for Season 3, so I have them, but yeah, multiplayer, even zombies got a little bit of an update. Warzone was pretty massive, and just like a lot of the crossover content that's coming. So just run through it a little bit here, real quick. With season 3 for multiplayer specifically, you're getting 6 core 6v6 maps. 3 of these are brand new: 6-star, emergency, and grime. Those are the 3 names. One remaster map, which is called Grow House, which is coming from Vanguard, and then 2 repurposed maps, which are kind of new maps in a way, but they're just repurposed areas from the Vondel and Rebirth Island that are coming to multiplayer. Whether they came out at release or they will be coming later on in season. Also, you're getting 4 new game modes or returning game modes. So you get Capture the Flag, Minefield, which is pretty cool, One in the Chamber, which was first introduced back in the Black Ops era, and Escort is also coming. So new ways to play the game. Vortex playlist is returning, which is like a alternate version of these maps with like different things going on. This was pretty cool, but there's going to be that's returning with those core maps. But interesting enough, like this is one of the first times we're seeing like a massive impact to like gameplay updates. Is that they're adding 5 new perks. You got the gunslinger vest, modular assault rig, the compression carrier, reinforced boots, and even the high gain antenna. So it's like there is a lot going on here. So like just to give you a quick update, like the compression carrier is assisted healing and gas protection. So this think of like quick fix. So it's finally returning from Modern Warfare 2019. The modular assault rig is a lethal and tactical scavenger. So like once you kill somebody, you can go over and re-scavenge up, and you'll get both your lethal and tactical back. Think of like Scavenger Pro in a way from back in the day. Gunslinger vest is basically like overkill, but like underkill in a way because now you can take 2 secondary weapons as opposed to 2 primaries, and like you get like a loaded like both guns can have like maximum attachments and shit like that. It's pretty badass. Then reinforced boots. This is immune to movement reduction effects, so some a little bit different. And then high gain antenna is a mini map. Is zoomed out for you and your nearby allies, so that's pretty cool there. Next up, there is a new field upgrade coming called the enhanced vision goggles. So that changes up the gameplay. I really wish I had the link to the one I dropped into the chat because the one that I'm looking at here is way more than I really need to be. Let me see if I can bring that shit up here. Season 3. Nope, that's not it. It's got. No, is there any way you can drop the article from the Discord channel?
Let me take a look here. Is this for Forza, you said? Or
It's
is this for the
for. No,
Nocturnal
yeah. Oh,
Vapor?
never mind. I got it here. I was able to find it finally. Trying to roll through it here. Let me get down to the part where you're just talking about here with the new field equipment. There's just so much shit coming out in this season, like updates to like the rank play as well, like the different awards you can earn, whether what tier you're gonna be, and whatnot. But yeah, that's all the new vests, new perks, blah blah blah. Yeah, so the goggles are coming in later on in the season, but this will be able to toggle between normal vision and enhanced vision with integrated targeting highlighting. But it does have a limited battery, so it helps you like the enemies will be highlighted a little bit more. So we'll see how that goes. Next up is the updates to Warzone Zombies. The development of this has been transitioned to a new team because Treyarch is now full hands on deck for the next iteration of their Call of Duty game coming out later this year. So they kind of pass this off. So content for zombies is going to probably dwindle here, but we are getting a new Dark Aether story continues. You will take on a new third rift. There's new challenges in the schematics and a warlord rainmaker. So there's still stuff to do if you are a rabid zombie player. I have not even touched zombies ever in Modern Warfare 3. It just seems like a very odd experience. Basically, just took DMZ and just turned it into zombies, so it just seemed weird. So I don't know if I'll ever check it out. But the highlight of the season, guy, is the return of Rebirth Island. It is finally back. I get the trailer here up on screen for you guys who may or may not have checked this out yet. Um, Scott, I know you were playing a little bit here. Were you excited to see Rebirth return in its glory?
Oh, I was playing a lot of it. Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, it's a lot smaller than I remember.
Yeah.
I will say that. You look at it here and you're like, yeah, it's a tiny map, but then like you go to load in and the plane's flying over and you're like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I have
Right, I gotta
10
jump now.
seconds. But yeah, it's been fun, man. It's basically like the Return of the King. Like it's here. This is the one that everyone just loved playing. Um, got a lot of really good memories, really bad memories on this. And people just want to come back. It's been great, and they've added a lot of things. Like you saw the zip line. They have some swimming. They have some
Yeah,
underwater
underwater
features
areas now.
there
Yeah.
that I've utilized. A lot of people have used. It's a really really good take on a classic
Yeah.
at this point. A lot of nostalgia, a lot of like me and my one buddy, we haven't played Call of Duty probably since Rebirth, honestly. Is we hopped in, we're like, what are we gonna do? Same thing we always do. We're gonna hot drop top of prison. Like that's it.
Yeah.
They've added a lot of new visual stuff. They've added just a lot to this, but it wasn't so much that it feels different. It's still the same Rebirth Island, and it's just added some cool new features that it was probably missing when it first came out.
Yeah.
It was probably missing. It was one of those things where like you didn't know you needed it or wanted it until you finally had it, and you're like, man, this would have been really nice the first go around, but thankfully we have it here.
Right.
Can't wait to see what they do with Verdansk.
Yeah, I just really hope that moving forward, like even with next year's Call of Duty iteration, obviously Warzone is here to stay. Like they just need to learn to keep the fucking maps. And if you're gonna add new maps, do it. Like
Just
look at
throw them in a rotation.
look you've been playing a lot of PUBG, right? PUBG has like 7 or 8 fucking maps, right? But you can choose
Honestly,
what map you play on, or they have like ones that you can cycle through and play
they
through
have a
back and
random
forth,
mode.
or
That's
random.
what I
Yeah,
that's expressly what I play is the random mode. I wish they would do something like that for Call of Duty, where
yeah,
you have all of your maps are available. It just randomizes, and that's it.
yeah. That seems like a
It's
win-win.
it's an amazing. It's a fun way to play because you don't know what you're getting until you get there, and you're like, okay, that like you don't start worrying about your strategy or anything like that until you're there. And Brosidon, I hope you're not talking about that charged sniper that takes like a half a second to shoot because I can't stand that thing. That thing hurts me. I was like, what is this? This
The
is
more
really
sniper.
cool. And I'm sitting there and I go and I aim and I shoot and then it goes do 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 and then it shoots and I'm like, that's can't do that.
You can't do that now.
Hated that.
Yeah.
Didn't love that.
Yeah. So in regards to Warzone, there are obviously new modes and gameplay features coming. So you got the biometric scanner, smart displays, the weapon trade station, which is pretty cool. So if you have a weapon that you don't really like, you come across one of these, you can kind of trade it in for like the gun that's in the same rarity typically. But like say you have an SMG and you want an AR, you could trade an SMG and get an AR in the same rarity. But it also have the chance of getting like a fully kitted gun and or even like a maxed out gun. Like you can get one that has like 8 attachments, so more than it should. It's like or 10 attachments, to 8 or 10. So that's pretty cool there. There's a new champions quest in Rebirth Island. There's also variable time of day conditions for Rebirth Island. Warzone Boot Camp is now a thing, so it's like up into like level 20 or something like that with like very limited XP. Kind of like introduces you to the concept of playing Warzone. New modes are coming.
Which a lot of these have been taken from PUBG.
Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
hopefully we can get some big maps and just randomizing because the boot camp, the time of day, the weather. I'm waiting to see weather effects at this point.
Yeah, yeah. So new modes you're getting Rebirth Lockdown. The real big one here is the Rebirth Infill Strikes, which you kind of got teased at in the trailer there, where like the lighthouse was tipping over, the prison was blown up. Like that's not in the game just yet. It's coming at later on in season, but like there will be different things that you can trigger where like these in-game events actually happen, and it completely alters the landscape and how like you would approach certain areas. So like that's pretty badass, and hopefully they can implement that kind of stuff to the other maps as well. That would be a way to reinvigorate the excitement for all the other maps as well. So that was pretty awesome. There's a new public event called Heavy Armor. New mission contracts called Spy Drones. New equipment are coming. Squad Rage, the utility box, and the specialist perk package does return in Rebirth Island. New kill streak also returns, which is a foresight. You can kind of basically see where the circles are going to end, and all of this does get implemented through Warzone Mobile. This is their first integration with the seasons and whatnot. So the seasonal content, no matter where you're playing, mobile, on console, PC, it all works. So that's pretty dope there. So that is all of the Call of Duty news updates in regards to season 3, which is available right now. Came out on April 3rd, so everyone's been playing and having a good time. I know I was playing a little bit of multiplayer, so have fun, guys. Moving on though to Call of Duty's hardware updates, they did announce in their new controller. This one I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't know if I would even add it to my collection just because I'm just not a fan of the color scheme. But this is the Nocturnal um, Vapor controller. It has like this real like green and black kind of vibe, kind of like Hunter kind of look to it. Scott, what's your take on this controller? Is this
I,
one that you
I
would pick
dig
up?
it.
Yeah.
I dig it 100%. Like if I had an Xbox and like I wanted a new controller, like this would be it. I love the green and the black. I love the way that it's kind of just flowing out. Big fan of this. I think this would be a very close second, almost like first combatant for that purple one you had shared
Mm-hmm.
a long time ago. That also just looked really good. I think this looks fantastic. To be completely honest.
Oh yeah. So you can go ahead and pick that up. Also, they with the announcement, the Arctic Vibe controller or whatever was released, which is an update to the Xbox One controller, just the Series X version. Moving on to Xbox services, Game Pass editions, you get Lego 2K Drive available now on cloud and console. The Little Gator game on all platforms now. EA Sports PGA Tour came to cloud, PC, and Series X and S already. But on the 9th, you get two more games. Kona coming to cloud and console. Then Botany Manor coming to cloud, PC, and Xbox Series X and S for any of those plant lovers. Then you get Shadow of the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition coming to all platforms on April 11th. And ending out on April 16th is Harold Halibut coming to cloud, PC, and Series X and S. That is just for the first half of April, so we do got to look forward to the back half, but it's a pretty solid lineup. I was actually looking forward to eventually checking out Lego 2K Drive just because like the whole idea of racing games and being able to build your car out of Legos and just being able to build what you want. I was like, I wasn't going to buy the game, but now it's on Game Pass. I'm definitely going to check this game out. Any of these have you excited at all?
Not terribly, but like if I get bored, something like Research and Destroy seems fun. Oh no, wow, that's departing. No, never mind. No, none of these.
Yeah, so as for departures on April 15th, we are losing Amnesia Collection, Amnesia Rebirth, Back for Blood, RIP, because I have not beaten that game yet. Phantom Abyss, Research and Destroy, and Soma. So make sure you grab those. Check them out before they leave. If not, buy them. You do get a 20% off discount code right now since they are on Game Pass. Moving on though to their games, game updates. I've put these out of line here. Forza Horizon 5 got an update to their game back on the 28th of March, which was their race off update. Came with this two new community goals, new and unique outposts, new event lab creations, the acceleration car pack, which brought the 2021 McLaren Sabre, 2019 Jetta G10 RM, the 2022 Ford Supervan 4, and the 1967 Shelby GT 500. There's also a new festival playlist as well. So Forza Horizon 5 is moving in a groove in here with all its updates and whatnot. That's why I still play it from time to time. Usually, like once a week, I'm hopping into Forza, just playing some of the playlist updates and whatnot. So it's always a lot of fun there. But that is the end of the Xbox related news. Scott, what is going on over in the PlayStation world?
Yes, so normally Roger is the one that is here to talk some shit about PlayStation, but since he is out, I will have to step into those very large shoes to fill. Developers have apparently been saying that the PS5 Pro is an unnecessary upgrade because they haven't really made the most out of the PS5 yet.
Right,
I'm gonna go on record and say based. Why would we sell a pro version of a console that we haven't used the maximum amount of yet?
right.
Why would it make a car fast? Why would it make a car go 180 miles an hour if nobody's been able to get it to 120?
So that's a
It's
great
it's
analogy.
basically it's basically what they're saying, and I agree with them. I'm not a PlayStation user. I haven't been for a very very long time. Um, but I 100% agree with them.
Mhm.
If you're not using, if you're not pushing the PlayStation 5 to its limits yet, then there's no need for something that would go above and beyond that.
Right. I mean,
So
because we can
I
all
agree.
remember PlayStation touting on their box that you bought your PS5 in. It says 8K, 4K,
8K,
120, but yet
60,
we don't
yeah,
see none of those numbers. Not one game does
eight,
8K, and not one
yeah,
game does 4K 120 consistently.
yeah.
I do not want to hear it. You do not need a
8K
PS5
for
Pro.
your 30 to 60, 4K for 120 plus. Yeah, okay, nice. When?
Yeah.
Doesn't
I'll
matter because we're
wait.
doing the pro version now.
Yeah, that might be able to do that
And, yeah, so
because
I,
it
I
runs the
I
same
agree with them.
CPU as the regular
Uh,
PS5. Yeah.
yeah, I 100% agree with the devs here because you're having them try to make something or try to put something out that nobody's really been even using yet.
Right. And like
So
looking at it
it's
from
just
the
wasted money.
like from
It's
the
wasted money. It's wasted time.
and looking at it from a consumer perspective, like listen on a lot of podcasts, they're like, who are they targeting? Because like, who's the targeted audience? Because like the core gamer isn't going to upgrade from their PS5 to PS5 Pro if like there are like you're already pushing them to the limits. The economy is not set up for you to spend another five, six, seven, $800 on another console that isn't even going to be pushed to its max at all because the already current console isn't even pushed to its limits yet either. So like,
You're
who
not
are
going
you
to
targeting
notice.
for? That's why
You're
like
you're you're not going to notice.
this almost makes more sense for the Xbox, right? Like the Xbox is like talking about like we're not going to have a mid-gen refresh. We're not going to have the pro version. We're just going to move on to the next generational console. That's why we're calling it the next generational in technology ever in a console. Like that's what they're
Which
trying to
makes
do.
logistically that makes sense. Logistically that does. Why are we going to do a pro version? We don't need to do a pro version. We're going to spend that time. We're going to spend that money on getting something that's actually going to be next gen, something that's going to give the consumer what they've been looking for, versus PlayStation who just goes, well, they haven't used the whole they haven't used the whole PS5 yet, but let's give them something a little extra, try to get $800 out of them.
Right.
Unwarranted, unneeded, and I'm with the devs on this. This just seems like hey, the devs made the PS5. What are we going to have them do now? Well, might as well have them work on the Pro. Might as well just go ahead and move that goalpost to the right a little bit,
Right.
and
And
give people a bigger console that they still won't fucking use.
right.
They haven't been using the PS5. Let's give them something that they can't use even harder.
Right. Because I mean, look at the requirements, right? If you want the PS, like your game to be labeled as the PS5 Pro Enhanced available, you need to be
Well,
able to meet
yeah,
these requirements here.
and they're telling you that if you want to be able to tout that title of PS5 Pro Enhanced, you have to offer at least one of the following requirements. That is an increased target resolution for titles that run a fixed resolution on the standard console. So you have to have a higher target resolution, uh, as opposed to what you are offering on the PS5. You have to have an increased target maximum resolution for titles that run a variable resolution on the PS5. If they want to have that, they have to have an increased target frame rate for titles that target a fixed frame rate on the PS5 standard console. And you have to have an inclusion of PS5 Pro ray tracing effects. So they're telling you basically you have to be able to perform better. You have to be able to guarantee that you can perform better in any of these four categories, based off of categories that haven't been met yet on the PS5.
Right. So how many games are going to get labeled as the PS5 Pro Enhanced?
They're
Probably not
basically
many of them.
asking. They're basically asking of all the games that can't do this yet, who can't do this the most? Because it's not happening. Like if basically if somebody's at 4K on a PS5, you have to be able to offer 8K, 10K, whoever,
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, we could look at it
You
from
have
even
to-
something
you
that's
have
like
to be
more
able to
realistic,
offer,
right? Like
like
how many games have we been seeing at 30 frames per second, right? Coming out
yes,
4K 30, and that's been the biggest issue. Why are we still running at 30? You
yes,
should be at least be able to run at 4K 60 at the minimum. Like that has to
yes.
be the minimum.
And I'm happy you picked the frame rate for that one because you have to have the increased targeted frame rate without the loss of the resolution that you originally intended. So if you're claiming or saying that you can run 4K at 30 frames per second on a PS5, you have to be able to run 4K at 60 or higher, or something
Mhm.
higher
Yeah.
than 30 frames per second. And not to mention, this is all of these are very ambiguous requirements. What counts as increased? 30 frames at 4K versus 31 frames at 4K on the Pro Enhanced version.
Yeah.
So it seems messy. Seems a little messy. But when we put up this article earlier before the show, one of the things that I want to highlight is things like, one of the biggest game that is anticipated right now is Grand Theft Auto 6,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they've basically said you shouldn't expect Grand Theft Auto 6 to run at 60 frames per second on the PS5 Pro.
And that sounds like a problem to me.
It sounds like a problem because it is a problem. That's why it sounds like that.
It
Because now you're offering a pro version of a console
does the same thing as the previous version.
that isn't running one of your newest games at 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
What a weird way to say that you're out of touch with what needs to happen with your console. What a weird way to say that.
Sounds very Sony-like.
It's who else but Sony?
Right.
But yeah, like a lot of that was based off of like the Pro's CPU, which is really, and this is the big one for me. The PS5 Pro's CPU is really about a 10% bump in performance.
From the standard PS5. Yeah, they were like it's the same CPU basically.
It's basically the same piece.
And they were
It's
like
basically
a
CPU.
lot of games use the CPU for a lot of offloading stuff, and like if we can't offload anything more, like the game's not going to run any better no matter how big the GPU gets.
Sure.
Because like we talk about it honestly with my PC, right? I'm trying to get to like where my PC can run something really solid, like 4K solid. But like my CPU is I have Intel i7 like 9700. I know that's going to be outdated. Like if I want to get to a certain point, I'm going to have to upgrade my CPU as well for the sake of what I'm trying to run. So no matter what GPU I put in my fucking shit, it's still not going to be able to run it where I want to if the CPU doesn't get any better.
Yeah, you'll have your bottlenecks, right? So, but like you're fully aware of what is required for your PC to get that 4K. Now imagine you just go ahead and you buy a completely new PC with a better GPU, but your CPU is basically just a newer version of your 9th gen i7. And then
And then
then
I
you're like
question why the game doesn't look any better than my old PC.
you're like this is it. This is the better PC. It's new.
Yeah, yeah, we're running
It's
into a lot of issues
it's
here.
just it's just a weird way to say that you don't respect your players and want to make more money off of them.
Damn, I
It's
really
just
feel bad for you, Brosidon. I really do. You might as well
but
sell your PS5 and get the Series X back if you can, as
I
soon as
don't feel
possible.
bad for you because the PS5, although a regrettable purchase, is not an awful one, right? You get some things that only come with the PS5, so that's really
Yeah,
you got a
you
really,
buy a
really
PS5
expensive
for the
ticket.
exclusives that they offer. I
Yeah,
get it, but
you got a really expensive ticket to a show of 3 or 4 games.
yeah, that costs
But
$70+ each, where you could just have Game Pass and you get all of the first party game exclusives for free.
but I
But
still wouldn't
real quick,
say
we're
I
talking
would
about
still
power
say
real
they're
quick,
gonna be
Bro
pushing.
Sidon. The Series X is considered to be the more powerful console as of right now. The PS5 Pro wouldn't take that as number one, but not for long if the Xbox already has their next generation lined up.
Yeah. As long as you don't make the same mistake twice, Poseidon, and get a PS5 Pro, I think you've learned, and
Yeah.
you can't put a price on those lessons that we all learn. And you're absolutely right that the value of Game Pass is much greater.
Oh yeah. If
Um,
you do a lot of
it's
PC gaming too, oh yeah.
it's insane. It's been worth it every single month,
Yeah, and
without
Scott, you don't
fail.
even have an Xbox, and
I don't even
and you see
have an
the
Xbox,
value of the
and I
Game
use
Pass
it.
on PC. Yeah.
I use that shit on PC. It is
Yeah,
absolutely
I
fantastic.
have a Series X. I have a PC that I game on, and I have Game Pass Ultimate, which I can bounce back and forth between, and it just works. It's just phenomenal. I love it.
It's nice. It's nice. But let's go ahead and move on in the sake of time. Is that hackers who got PlayStation Portal to run PSP games offline helped Sony to actually patch that vulnerability. So this is one thing where it was they finally listened to somebody, and it was somebody who broke their shit. And they're like, "Hey, how'd you break that?" And they're like, "Oh, well, here's how." And they're like, "Do you want to help us like not?" And they said, "Yeah, for sure." Yeah, boo to the people who wanted to go ahead and continue to use that. However,
Right. Fuck
nobody's
you,
gonna buy the
Google.
Pro, so they have to make their money somehow.
Because we can't forget this was Google, by the way. These were Google
Yeah.
engineers that did that, and they were
Yep.
like, Google, please help us.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, but moving on from that, we do have some services updates. So that's going to be the PS Plus monthly games for April. We have Immortals of Avium, Minecraft Legends, and Skull the Hero Slayer coming there. Immortals of Avium, I mean,
I just bought it for like $5 the other day because it was on like a
yeah,
super sale, and I've been really looking
yeah,
forward to it because this
it
was
was on the
touted as
super
Call of
sale, yeah,
Duty with Magic. So I was like, yes, can't wait to
yeah.
play it. So that's actually a pretty
So
solid pickup for that. But it's funny enough that an Xbox first party game is being offered as a free game for
yeah,
PlayStation. So shout
yeah.
out
So
there.
is that a good deal from PlayStation or a desperation move from Immortals? Yet to be
Yeah,
seen. But moving on from that, we do have some other news coming out of Marvel.
fuck yeah, dude, bro. Like this news was coming in hot. Like the leaks were ready. The leaks were fucking ready, right? And Marvel Rivals was leaked, and we are like, are we about to get like an Overwatch version of like Marvel? And I was like, that sounds fucking perfect. I'm gonna get the trailer out here up on screen. Oops, wrong one here. And we're gonna show you my
That's not
the
the
show
trailer at
notes.
all.
This is the trailer, but basically, yeah, like they basically took Overwatch 2 but reskinned it, and now it's Marvel characters, and I'm like, I'm 1,000% for this. Like
Yes,
this could be
I'm here for it.
revolutionary. Like this could be
I'm here for it.
absolutely huge.
Yep,
And the
100%.
amount of content that they could add to this game is like reaching into an endless pit of content.
Yeah, and it's 100% a reskin, but like I don't care.
Yeah, I
This
don't
is
care.
100% a reskin, and 0% of me gives a shit about that
Nope. I'm
because
playing this
this is
shit day
gonna
one.
be absolutely nuts.
I'm playing this day
Like,
one. I'm playing this game a lot. Like I'm for it. It better be good.
yes, this is it gives the same vibes of the original like Marvel versus Capcom.
Mm, yes.
And it's kind of like it's just one of those games that I think is gonna be really, dude. It's just gonna be fun.
I just
I
love the
really hope
concept
it
of being
is.
able to like you get the team ups or whatever. Like when Rocket hops on the back of Groot and he's like, "You want to team up?" and you're working together like in a different like right here. He's like right here. Boom. He hops on his back. Team up activated and like you become this ultimate badass. Like bro, like that is gonna be fire.
It's gonna be sweet. I really am excited for this. And when I saw this in that itinerary that you leaked to the public earlier, I was like, this is gonna be so fun. Like this is gonna be just amazing, and I can't wait.
Oh
So,
man, I know a
God,
lot of people are
really good
excited for this.
time.
Like everyone in the shoot to win community, when I dropped the trailer into the chat, they're like, "Yo, that shit's gonna be
Yeah,
next gen. Like that shit's gonna be next level to gaming. Like this might be the next big shooter that enters the marketplace. And the fact that it's free to play is even better. Like they are clearly hitting all the right strides as they should be coming off rip.
And
And so you can sign up
hopefully
for
they
it
can
for its
actually
alpha
work
right now.
some. Hopefully they can actually work some PVE and not lie to us, and it'll
I
be
doubt it.
really
We
really
don't even
good.
need PvE. Just get this
We
thing's
don't
never
need
gonna.
it. We don't need it. Nobody needs it, but
Yeah, don't. I don't even want it. We don't
um,
even need it. Not even a want or a need. That's why we have all these other single player games coming from all the other developers. We're good.
yes,
We're good.
absolutely. But moving on from that, we also have a nice little teaser coming through from Square Enix, who was actually teasing the Xbox port of Final Fantasy 16. So if you're here and you're on Xbox and you're waiting for that, get ready because
Yep.
it might be coming soon.
Definitely exciting. Obviously, like the partnership between the two companies, Xbox and Square Enix, has been on the uppity up. Like the
Yes.
Final Fantasy 14 just came to the platform. Hopefully, we see the Final Fantasy 7 remake eventually come to the platform. Like they're here. It's awesome to see. So hopefully, Final Fantasy 16, even though it was not that great of a game, coming to the platform if anybody's interested. But moving on to another big time developer here with Remedy, they kind of gave some updates into one of their upcoming games. It's a live service game called Condor. As of right now, it's a Control spinoff. It has a fully entered full production and will not be free to play. It was rumored to be free to play, but it confirmed that it will not be. This is a quote. It says, "After the Hiss invasion, the oldest house is under lockdown, a boiling point of volatile and dangerous supernatural forces." Remedy said of the game in its annual financial report. He says, quote, "Trapped within its last vestige of the Federal Bureau of Control, who will need to take a stand and push back to regain control. Desperate times require desperate measures, and everyone is needed." So I was like, this game really sounds badass. If anybody's played Control, like it's arguably one of the greatest games of all time, is getting a game that could be really fucking dope and really badass. So
Yeah, it could
lot
definitely really
moving on for
revitalize
this.
a lot of playability for that game for
Yeah.
sure.
And then obviously we got Control 2 in the works as well. Like Alan Wake 2 is technically part of the same universe. Quantum Break is part of the universe. Like there's a lot going forward here for for all the Remedy games. So really excited to see there. I'm really excited cuz like I'm playing Alan Wake 2 right now and I'm curious to see like what snippets in that game have any tie-in to Control in that universe and whatnot. So we'll see. Maybe I'll tie you guys in. But what's going on with Tekken?
Absolutely. So, speaking of famous houses, right? Just go ahead and preface that. You know, a lot of
uh,
people say that Americans don't have culture, and I'm here to tell you that is not true. And here is why. Because in the world of Tekken, the director has been asking why Americans want a Waffle House stage. It's why would we not?
it was like a meme,
The
but now it's become a
the
legitimate thing.
the cultural phenomenon, which is known as the fight behind the Waffle House,
Mm,
um, it's an American pastime at this point. It's as American as hot dogs and baseball, my friend.
shout out
We
Red
want
Sox,
a,
by the way.
we want a Tekken map behind a Waffle House, and you know maybe it can be an interactive map. Maybe you whoop somebody's ass all the way around to the front of Waffle House, or maybe you start at the front and you
Maybe start
whoop
inside
their
the
ass all
Waffle
the way back
House.
in the Waffle House. And you put them through the windows. I mean, realistically, take these ideas, please, because we want to play them. But he was just really taken aback about why Americans want the Waffle House so bad, and it's like first like it's a Waffle Home, and the America the American love for Waffle House is just unbound,
Yeah.
and knowing the ideas, the memes, and just the funny things that happen either outside of a Waffle House, inside of a Waffle House, or just the fighting at Waffle House. It's the same thing. It's synonymous. So why would we not want a Waffle House stage in Tekken? Is really the question we need to be asking.
Right.
He's asking why. Why would we not?
Right. Why not?
It's it's the most normal place for a fight to happen. So if Tekken was gonna happen somewhere, it'd probably be at Waffle House.
Yeah, probably. All right. Let's end out the gaming news with just some an update in regards to X Defiant. They did announce that the game has been delayed because they're trying to make sure that this game releases in the best possible state, so it does not flounder. They did really update that they are going to release a new server stress test because like a lot of their testing is usually in house or closed stuff, and it's like we want to see how far we can push the servers without it crashing, without it doing a Star Wars Battlefront collection where only 64 people or whatever could fucking play the game because the servers weren't tested properly. So they're living, they're learning, and hopefully we finally get it. But one of the biggest questions was like apparently like everyone like a lot of the developers there like are questioning like everything Call of Duty ads. They're like, well, what if we add that to our game? And they're like, maybe we should. So it's like they're trying to listen to everything that people want in the shooter industry. So could be bad, could be good. Only time will tell.
I still wouldn't say they're listening to COD though, because everything that we talked about for the COD updates, we talked about 2 weeks ago for the PUBG updates,
Right.
which
So
were
yeah,
already in place.
right. So
Oh
really,
man,
they're
they're gonna
listening to
have
PUBG.
destructible. They're gonna have destructible environments. That's really cool,
Oh
guys.
no, Battlefield didn't have that
It's
before.
brand new. Brand new. Battlefield did that. Oh, PUBG's gonna be doing that.
it's
Oh,
it's so funny you mentioned that, right? One of my friends posted a tweet from Call of Duty, and they're like, "Yeah, Call of Duty's testing out the ability to stay in the lobby that you're already in, like for multiplayer." And I'm like, so they're touting something new as something as new as like it was already in old Call of Duties. If you wanted a new
it's
lobby,
been
you would
there.
back out and you would start up a new search. So I was like,
They're like,
why are
yeah, but you
we?
don't get it. It's new to this Call of Duty, so it's new.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm tired of the whole new thing, and it's not new. It's
If you
just
want to
not.
argue that, log into Tekken. I'll see you
Yeah,
at
and
Waffle.
Waffle House. Yeah, exactly. But that is all of the gaming news that we do got for you guys this week. So we do want to thank anyone who did check us out live today here on Twitch, and anyone who does check us out later on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you do listen to your podcast. But Scott, where can the community find you at?
As always, thank you guys for hanging out. If you want to hang out further beyond this, outside of Sundays, you can always find me on Discord. Name is Scoby1.
Imagine. So everyone, you can check me out at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin _ Threads is also Mr. Never Chillin. Xbox is X Never Space Chillin. If you want a game party up, hit me up there. Facebook is Vic Brubacher for any questions, concerns, or if you want to come on the show, slide in the DMs there. And I do stream over on my Twitch at twitch.tv / Mr. Never Chillin, where I am playing Evil West and Alan Wake 2 currently. And we'll see what else I decide to stream. Maybe some Halo, maybe some Call of Duty. So make sure you come through, drop a follow, maybe subscribe to support me as well as this channel. But we do want to thank everyone again. And until next week, peace.
Press start podcast.